Cullen goes live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello there and welcome. And I'm in such an ebullient mood because outside it's just gorgeous. Remember this kind of, isn't it wonderful? I hope we all get an opportunity to be out in it. I always feel so cheated if finally a glorious day comes by and you're stuck indoors the whole day. I hope you can get out in this. Wow. Well, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, Bill Peduto, getting to ride in Barack's limo yesterday. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. What a thrill. What a thrill. Also County Executive Fitzgerald going along for the ride, but it was Peduto that got the entree because he whispered something in the president's ear or said something to him on the tarmac when he was greeting him that the president said, I want to hear more about it. Come on, ride in with me. Cool, huh? And the confusing thing is that I saw in the paper, it said that it only took, Peduto was saying, my God, and we didn't get stuck on Green Tree Hill. No, because they close the whole dang thing down as the president's motorcade comes in. But they said it took the president's motorcade only about 25 minutes to get from the airport to the downtown. What? I can do that in traffic. What is the motorcade going 15 miles an hour? Wow, what? 25 minutes? If the parkway were closed down, airport to spitting out of the tunnel, what? 15? I think. You might even be able to do that so I'm confused about the 25 minutes because I've made it in 25 minutes when no one closed the parkway down for me. So what'd they talk about? Ostensibly, the president wanted to talk to him. The way they got in was he wanted to talk about this Department of Energy thing that they're working on. The Energy Secretary was here last week, and they announced something. And that's what supposedly the president invited him into the limo to talk about. But they ended up talking about a former Chicago Blackhawk player. Guys, you always got to talk sports, huh? Yeah. And but they did. They talked about the state budget impasse, something I have not talked about. And they talked about building affordable housing. Yes, yes, yes. And apparently during the ride, the president said that he wanted, in fact, to talk about a program that would bring together housing, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, going after vacant lots in the city and stuff like that. I mean, killing two birds with one stone, essentially. So all of this while he's riding in the presidential limo, and here's the thing I thought was so cute. When they went into the tunnel, and obviously the president's been here a number of times, but the mayor said, doing that drive, that you've done 1,000 times in life, coming through the tunnel, and he said he was glimpsing out of he was watching the president out of the his peripheral vision. He said, I was glimpsing out of the side of my eye because I wanted to see the president look at it. It's one of those moments in life that I'm never gonna forget. Again, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I'm happy for him. Pretty cool. He did say, though, it was completely unexpected. I mean, had I known this was going to, I would have taken my suit to the dry cleaners. Oh. That's the mayor. Okay, obits for the day. The biggie, the one that's getting all the attention, is E.L. Doctorow. I refuse to give him a moment because I had the misfortune of attending a lecture, supposedly, that E.L. Doctorow gave here in Oakland at the Carnegie as part of the Vera Hines lecture series. This is some time ago, maybe 10 years ago. And this lecture series, is famous for bringing in wondrous authors. And E.L. Doctorow came in, and like a few of the people that are brought in, he did not want to give a lecture. He wanted to collect the money, but sit on stage and be interviewed. And a few people do that kind of thing. In fact, I ended up on stage at the Carnegie once being the interviewer for one of these authors who didn't want to give a speech, which I find very odd. I ended up on stage with Alice Sebold, who wrote The Lovely Bones. And I mean, it just seems if you get booked to do a lecture, do a lecture. I mean, I feel that as the interviewer, you end up doing most of the work. I didn't get a penny. God knows what she got. So Doctorow did the same thing. I'm in the audience. The guy who's interviewing him is a guy I know. Nice man, erudite, smart, British-born, wonderful guy, who clearly had done all his homework. He'd read everything Doctorow had ever written. Which is more than I did for Alice Sebold. He did all this stuff. And Doctorow was the biggest son of a bitch I have ever paid money to see. I cannot imagine anyone who was at that event that didn't leave it, if not early, that didn't leave it having a totally different perspective on E.L. Doctorow and it being a negative one. I walked out of there and thought, I will never read another word this jerk writes. Just saying. I'm just saying. And I stuck to my guns. I never did. And when I saw he was dead, I thought, "Tah!" Everybody say, one of the greatest authors of this last... So what? He was not a nice man. He was not a nice man. He was dismissive of the interviewer. He was so mean and uncooperative. And the fact that he had been invited and wasn't even doing what he had been invited to do, and he was, he was pocketing the paycheck, which I would imagine would be pretty sizable for these guys. I so lost all. I can't imagine anybody being there who didn't leave with that same impression. So, I've absolutely not liked him ever since. Which brings me to the obit that's not getting any attention today, that deserves more, because it is of a man who lived a life in which he did also contribute to the arts canon, and he also was a political activist. He was a good human being, a good father, a good husband, a good soul all the way around, and that is a man named Theodore Bikel. Now, you might not know Theodore Bikel, but you have seen him. He's been in a million movies. Do you know who Theodore Bikel is? See, Celine says she doesn't, but you've seen him. He was Tevye on Broadway in Fiddler on the Roof forever after the original Tevye, Zero Mostel. He was the original Captain Von Trapp in The Sound of Music. He was in My Fair Lady, the movie, the Hungarian linguist who gets hoodwinked at the ball. That little part, he's simply wonderful in it, playing this jerk. He also got an Academy Award nomination for, if you've ever seen this wonderful movie, The Defiant Ones. It's from 1958. If I am not incorrect, that starred Sidney Poitier and Tony Curtis as two escapees. And Theodore Bikel played the sheriff who was hunting them down. And it was a very nuanced portrayal of a Southern sheriff. Very nuanced. The African Queen, one of my favorite movies of all time. When Bogey and Hepburn have finally made it through all the harrowing stuff, and their boat essentially is sunk by the Germans, and they're fished out of the water. He's the captain, the German captain. He was able to play Hungarians, Germans, this isn't Southern, but he spoke something like 17 languages. He was born in Austria. Anytime any interviewer said, so you're an Austrian, he would always say, I am not. I was born in Austria. I was born in Vienna. I'm going to get the quote. I refuse to I am an Austrian-born Jew. I refuse to let a country that so shamefully treated and murdered my people lay any claim to me, to my life, to my successes, to my failures, to my very identity. Which is what I always say when people would say, oh, you're Lithuanian. If I say, well, my grandparents were from Lithuania, I say, I'm not Lithuanian. The Lithuanians, I'm an American because the Lithuanians were, killing my ancestors. They ran for their lives from Lithuania. They ran for their lives from Austria. They ran for their lives from Russia, from all these other countries. And when people say, I can never understand any Jew who would say, I'm a, if in fact their ancestry traces back to a country that didn't allow them to be a Lithuanian or an Austrian. In fact, cut them out legally from property ownership, from civil rights, from all kinds of stuff, and then ultimately killed them. Why would you say you're a Lithuanian? I'm not a fucking Lithuanian. Excuse me. So I totally am with Bikel on that. He ended up his parents were smart cookies. They got out of Austria right ahead of the inevitable and ran off to what was then British-mandated Palestine. He spent much of his youth there. That's where he lived on a kibbutz. He went from the kibbutz to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London, where Laurence Olivier discovered him. He became a citizen of the United States in 1961. He was an American. Long active in the civil rights movement. Union movement. He was the president of Actors Equity for almost 10 years, from 1973 to 82. He was a member of the National Council on the Arts. He was founder of the Newport Folk Festival. He was somebody who was so active, led such a wondrous life, wrote books. Actually, in Sound of Music, the song Edelweiss, 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 everybody gonna greet me, was written specifically by Rodgers and Hammerstein for him to make use of his folk singing. He was a folk singer above all, and a great human being and actor. Theodore Bikel, ladies and gentlemen, as opposed to the guy who's getting all the ink. E.L. Doctorow. What a jerk. His parents apparently named him after Edgar. His name is Edgar, that E, after Edgar Allan Poe, who, of course, he dismissed in his snooty way as something like one of the best, most horrific, best known awful writer in American history or something. I don't know. What a jerk! Yeah. This is exactly what he's like. That's how he was at the lecture I saw him at. He just thought so much of himself. He just so obviously an asshole. Oh, it's so good to be able to trash him. Thank you. Thank you for dying, Mr. Doctorow, so I could do that. I'm not being very nice, am I? Nope. Well, look. Whatever. He wrote some good books. I'll give him that. Actually, the only one I read... Did I read Billy Bathgate? I don't think so, but I did read Ragtime, which I thought was fantastic. Jerks can write. But, anyway, where am I? Oh, the funniest promo on CNN this morning. What did this woman say? There are now 17 people running, or 16, I've lost count. 16 or 17 people running for, the Republican nomination, but we're only talking about one. Why is that? That's what we're going to talk about when we come back. And I'm thinking, I said, what do you mean, why is that? Because because media is not doing its job. What do you mean? You're focusing on the clown and not educating your audience about the other people running, one of whom is, in fact, going to have a shot at being the President of the United States. Only one is getting any attention. Why is that? She said like a lame brain, and she's not. She knows why. What do you mean, why is that? Because you like the train wrecks. You like the car crashes. You don't want some sober reflection of here's what this guy is, here's his record, here's what he stands for, here's where he's flip-flopped, here's how he's grown, here's how this and that, and educating the voters so that they can, in fact, make an informed decision, which I thought was what media was supposed to do. Why is that? She said, perkily. And I thought, because you are in total breach of your responsibilities as a journalist. That's why. That's where you start throwing things at the television set. So, John Kasich is the latest to join the crowd, governor of our neighboring state of Ohio. McKees Rock's native, by the way. And he should be a legitimate candidate. He is a serious man. I'm not wild about his politics, but if you look at his governorship, you will see a serious man. And a more moderate man than an awful lot of other Republican governors who are seeking this nomination. Probably one of the reasons he doesn't have a chance. But so CNN and all the others, rather than now saying to any voter interested enough to say, okay, who's this latest guy? Rather than showing him who John Kasich is, who actually, if he were a nominee, I would be nervous. But he probably won't be, because media aren't going to help him in any way because they're too distracted by the narcissistic clown over here, as is everybody else. And what the narcissistic clown is doing now is he's pulling the other candidates down. He's lowering the level of discourse, which you would think couldn't get much lower than it is in this country. So you got Lindsey Graham saying on one of the Sunday talk shows he's a jackass. You've got Trump responding by giving out his Lindsey Graham's cell phone number. If this were happening in a middle school, election, they'd be hauled into the principal's office. They'd be disqualified from running. So Frank Bruni in the Times today is like ripping himself apart trying to say, what do we do as journalists with a Trump? What do you do? And he pointed out, as I did the other day, that Huffington Post, here's what they decided to do. He's a clown. He's entertainment. We're putting him in the entertainment section. We're not even going to. But I said that's incorrect. because he's polling higher than anybody else at the moment. And consequently, that says something. So you can't discount somebody who's leading in the political polls. Even if we know he ain't going to win, even if we know eventually what goes up in this case is going to come down, even all of that, you cannot. It's not journalistically ethical to decide he's a clown, I'm putting him here, when 24% of likely Republican voters are saying he's my guy. You can't do it. So Bruni talks about the fact that former Senator Bob Kerrey, not the Secretary of State John Kerry, Bob Kerrey, the one who lost a leg in Vietnam, the one who dated, what was her name? What was the actress? Who was the one who died, the one who played the Shirley MacLaine's dying and dead daughter in that tearjerker movie with John Nicholson, not Nicholson, with Nicholson as a astronaut. Come on, Selene.
Sorry, film is not my strong suit.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, he was dating her. He was the governor of Nebraska, wasn't he? Yeah, I think he was the governor of Nebraska, and then he became a senator. Deborah Winger. Thank you very much. So what's the name of that movie? Something of the Heart? Something in the... Nicholson, Winger, McLean.
Terms of Endearment?
Terms of Endearment. Yeah. Haven't you ever seen that?
No.
Oh!
I know.
Oh! Get on the stick! That's a great movie.
You and my best friend are constantly being shocked and appalled.
What? Jeez, really? It's the, God, it's a great movie. It's got it all. Humor, tragedy, great acting. Oh, man, that was a good movie. Couldn't think of Nicholson's first name, Jack. Jesus. Okay. So Bruni says that Bob Kerrey, former senator and governor, has been asked by 1 million reporters and cable shows to come on and talk about the John McCain hero thing because he obviously served with McCain not only in Vietnam, but served with McCain in the U.S. Senate. And he has said no, because he didn't want to abet Trump in getting what he wants, which is being the center of attention. He didn't want to be part of the circus. So that's Bruni's talking about the fact that Kerry is simply disgusted about what Trump is doing. And in his column, he talks about the discussion he had with him about what is media to do with a Trump. And Bruni puts it this way. If we discuss Trump, as I have done in several of my columns, we reward his bad and transcendentally self-serving behavior. No matter how negative our assessments of him or how many larger truths we engage, you play into his hands. If we don't discuss him, we ignore something real in a fashion that's irresponsible. And by something real, I mean the fact that Trump has measurable support, at least for now. So Bruni sees it like I see it in terms of what Huffington Post did. You can't, your job is to cover what's going on in the Republican race for its nomination. And unfortunately, this is what's going on. Now, it is true, too, that media is probably aiding, abetting, and in fact prolonging. Because Trump is the classic example of that old saw that all publicity is good publicity. He doesn't care if you're making fun of him. He doesn't care. He wants to be talked about. Bruni says this: television has succumbed more than the other media because it particularly thrives on theater, which Trump obviously provides in excess. But he says newspapers, websites have obviously done our part because nobody knows what to do. Former Senator Kerry says it's just not good. It's not good for American politics. Well, American politics is pretty much but this just takes it down yet another notch. And Bruni ends thusly: I noted that some of his fellow Democrats were reveling in Trump, like me, I've been reveling in it, who was causing the Republican Party so much grief. And here's what Kerry says: I'm not putting my partisan hat on. I'm putting my American hat on. And I'm saying I want us to elect a great leader. And it's going to be difficult as it is because the money spent will be in the billions. It's going to be hard enough to keep our balance and select a great leader, even without this clown. This is all true, but until he totally implodes, I don't know how you get away from it. Thank you all for saying Deborah Winger.
Filling in where I could not.
What?
Filling in where I could not.
I know. I'm going to get you for Christmas or something. I'm going to get you some.
All the movies.
What?
All the movies.
Yeah. What? Do you ever? Would you watch them?
Yeah.
I'll give you the Great American Canon. I mean, I'll do some good movies. Surely you've seen. Excuse us, just a minute. I have to berate my producer. You have seen The African Queen.
I have.
Thank you. Would you agree The African Queen is a great movie?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. Think of what you're missing.
I know.
All right.
Wolfpack. It's a great movie.
Wolfpack, you like that?
Yes.
It's on demand now. I told everybody to go see Wolfpack, that documentary, and a friend went on my recommendation and walked out. Jeez. So I'm not recommending anymore, although I just recommended the other day. I recommended two, right? Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, and I also recommended the Trainwreck.
Which I'm going to see tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. Trainwreck. I mean, if you're squeamish about sexual things, not for you. But that's true of most movies. Okay. Jeez. All right. So there's this, did you see the thing about the hackers in the car? You did? That's scary. So, our cars now are computerized, like totally. I mean, totally. That's why car mechanics who used to be able to fix a car, now they look and they say, yeah, it's in your computer. It's a computer thing. Well, as we've certainly found out, computers can be hacked. And as it turns out, car computers can be hacked to the point that if somebody wants to hack your car computer, they can not only get all kinds of information on you from your car, but they can also make your brakes not work. Is that not a perfect crime? They can also total your transmission. On a 110-degree day, they can turn off the air conditioning. If a hacker is just, has a little bit of a whimsical streak, he can torture somebody by making their radio only play, let's say, if they're a liberal, Fox News. And the car companies are furious that these people have done this. But they did it not for any nefarious purposes. They did it to show. They want Americans to know, hey, the way cars work now, you're vulnerable. And these are two computer security guys who did this, computer researchers. In fact, one of them was with the NSA for a while. And they did it to a Jeep. And they can manipulate almost anything, simply on their laptop. That's something. What a world we live in. And so almost every car that we drive feature computer controls that are now, we know, hackable. And it's not as though the auto companies deny it. They just didn't want us to be aware of it. Well, we're aware of it. Wonderful. You know, if you're a worrywart, man, what a time to be alive. I bet some people who watch the news on a regular basis, I bet if someone did a study would find there are more agoraphobic people who are inveterate news digesters. Because if you read enough of it or watch enough of it, you would, frankly, be afraid to go out. Okay, are we ready for another pretty serious thing? I have not talked about this Planned Parenthood video. I don't even know where to start. This is akin to what happened to Acorn. Remember Acorn? This is the fruits of the efforts of some professional anti-abortion operatives. And they've spent years. I hate to tell you things you already know, but the guy behind the videos has literally, that's what he does. He has spent the last 3-4 years setting up himself in a false identity, setting up a fake company, in fact, called the Center for Medical Progress. He managed to get, by the way, the Center for Medical Progress has a charity, is considered a charity by the IRS. So it got tax-exempt status. As the creator of this company that doesn't really exist, it's a company that supposedly is in... Well, no, wait. The Center for Medical Progress, is what this guy, David, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Deleden or something, the company created, I gave you the wrong name, that is a fake company, is called Biomax Procurement Services. It doesn't exist except on paper. But it's got glossy, he puts out all the stuff that would make you think it's a real company in the business of procuring fetal tissue and other tissues to be used in medical research. And as such, he has set up booths at conferences that Planned Parenthood would be maybe a part of. He has, all of this is obviously, it's a total masquerade, but it got him entree then to speak to people high up in Planned Parenthood, and with his little hidden camera, and doing this over years with various people, thousands upon thousands of hours, waiting for the one slip up. That's what they do. That's what his job is. Then you edit it all together to create a totally dishonest piece of propaganda aimed at destroying Planned Parenthood. It plays, of course, immediately into the Republicans' political agenda, which is to deny women control over their own bodies. And it doesn't matter that the video that came out, and now there's a second video, and there'll be a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, because he's got a bunch. He's just going to keep putting these things out. Heavily edited. They are lies, essentially. But all he needs is one slip up. Like, I'll tell you, a slip up is the woman in Planned Parenthood, the medical director, who meets with them over lunch. That, in fact, might have been, why don't we have lunch? He might have said. So that then he can get her talking about fetal tissue and harvesting fetal tissue while she's chewing on a Caesar salad, which looks so disgusting. I'll tell you, the people who work at Planned Parenthood have to be on their toes every minute. They have to look at every person who comes through the door, ostensibly for their services, as a potential enemy. You imagine? I have to, I am a board member of Planned Parenthood of Western Pennsylvania. I need to say that. So believe me, I do know, having now been on the board for 3 years, I do know the unbelievable diligence and care that the staff there provides. And I do know all the programs it provides, especially for poor women. And of course, if the Republicans and this kind of ugly deception can cripple further Planned Parenthood, which is being crippled constantly by state laws, by all kinds of stuff, the result is the then inability of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of women not being able to access health care. There are poor women for whom that is the doctor. That's where they go for a breast examination. That's where they go for a pap smear. That's where they go for regular gynecological care. That, in fact, increasingly is where some men go, in fact, for certain services and vaccinations. Nothing about fetal tissue being used for biomedical research is illegal. In fact, where do I have this piece of information? The National, God, I hate this when I can't find what I'm looking for. Oh, the National Institutes of Health, that's it. The National Institute of Health has given, get this, $76 million in grants for fetal tissue research. Planned Parenthood does not donate, and by the way, Planned Parenthood Western Pennsylvania does not. It doesn't do it in any way. The ones that do, the Planned Parenthood affiliates that do, they give the option to a woman who's having an abortion. They say to her, if you would like, we can, if it's your choice, we can use some of the tissue that we can provide that to research that's going into Parkinson's disease and retinal degeneration and heart defects and hepatitis. A lot of research uses fetal tissue. If you want, you can tell us that you want us to save that tissue and to get it to the proper. And that's all. That's the program that this woman is talking to him about. Planned Parenthood doesn't make a cent if one of its patients, one of its clients says, yes, I would like something good to come out of this. This is so ugly, so unbelievable in terms of its lies. And then the amount of and all these Republican candidates and governors are taking it and running, knowing, they know it's a lie. They know no laws have been broken here. But they have an agenda, and that is to deny women the right to control their own bodies. So, this video uncovers what actually is a legal activity, a totally voluntary activity on the part of the woman who makes the fetal tissue available, and consequently a potentially life-saving tissue used in medical research. They take that, something legal, something voluntary, and something potentially life-saving, and make it into something that sounds like a horrific, ghoulish criminal act. Tax exempt. Tax exempt. Oh, okay. What else we got here? Hang on. I came across something in the Wall Street Journal today, which I have very mixed feelings about. It's something new on the party scene. On the party scene for little kids, for grown-ups, for anybody. It's called puppy parties. Sounds wonderful. You want to have a great time? You want to get your friends together? You can have a puppy party. There are now businesses that supply puppies for you to play with. 10 puppies for 1 hour, $200, which seems pretty cheap to me, plus additional transportation costs, yada, 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 yada. Now, puppies and... okay, done properly, maybe it's okay, I guess. The ones that are featured in the Wall Street Journal sound like reputable kind of people who will bring their puppies to the location and who set up immediately an area complete with a pen and like a tarp and stuff. And they also, if this is a little kid's birthday party, this is all the rage for little kids' birthday parties. If it's a little kid's birthday party, they, first of all, give the kids a tutorial in how you play with a puppy and what not to do. And then they let the puppies loose. And I mean, most puppies are going to love it. Some puppies are not going to like this. They've been traumatized by it. Bachelorette parties. This is getting to be a big thing. There's such a thing as now in Japan, places called pet cafes, where you go in and you get yourself coffee and something, and you play with puppies and kittens and stuff. I can think of nothing I would rather do than sit in a room with 10 puppies. I mean, what fun. What incredible cuteness. What joy. Puppy breath, puppy smell. I would love it, but there's something I don't like about this. Because you have to know that there are going to be some that don't treat these animals right. And unless all of these so you're only a puppy for what, 6 months? I guess that's their top age, the ones that I see in the Wall Street Journal. 6 months. So at 6 months, is it like a greyhound? Do you, when they put you down? You're no longer a cute puppy. You're getting into that, awkward sort of young dog stage. And we can't sell you. So, I don't know. Listen to this. Here's this is smart, actually. This is smart. University of Southern California, a fraternity. Are you ahead of me here? A fraternity contacted one of these businesses and said, there's this sorority house a couple of doors down, and we'd sort of like to attract those girls over here. Nothing attracts a woman more than a man with a dog. But a bunch of men with a bunch of puppies? Oh, hoo, hoo, hoo. Smart. I have to say, that is smart. But most of the business at this point is children's parties. And I'll tell you, unless the kids are old, letting a bunch of puppies loose with 3-year-olds is not a good idea. I don't care how much little tutorialing you do beforehand. But, oh God, why am I not surprised by this? Since I'm always ragging on colleges and universities now for creating these, like marshmallow environments for the students. It says right here, many colleges in North America have set up puppy rooms in dorms during final exams. I can see where if you're stressed out, it'd be nice. I'm going over to the puppy room. But I hate to think of puppies being used like this. This is one step up from having a safe room with cuddly little stuffed animals, and this is just going right straight to, all right, we'll get these cute little puppies in. So listen to this quote. Listen to this. When 29-year-old Jacqueline Lawrence was planning her friend Julie's bachelorette party, she wanted puppies there. Quote, "It's a classy alternative to a stripper. We put Julie in a chair, blindfolded her, played that music that always comes on when strippers dance, and we told her, 'Julie, reach out. We want you to touch something.' And then they just filled her arms full of puppies." Now, that's a great little wonderful gag, I guess. Do you mean bachelorette parties, they would do that with a naked man? Oh, God. Oh, how... I'm against all of these things. I am against everything. I'm against baby showers after the first baby. I'm against wedding showers after the first wedding. I'm against totally engagement showers, if there is such a thing. I'm against all this shit of shaking people down. And leave the poor puppies out of it. Dorothea writes, "Sorry, but puppy parties are such a bad idea on so many levels, I don't even know where to begin." Let's think about the dogs here. Yeah, right. What kind of a life is that? For $200, you get an entire petting zoo for your kid's party. That'd be a better choice. Well, but that's sort of the same thing, though. These poor animals trucked around to be pawed at. Oh, God. Entrepreneurs. Puppy parties. So that's it. This is the hot thing, and you can believe that now that it's, people, you're going to see more and more and more and more and more of this. What if these little puppies, so these puppies are obviously for sale. One of the places in here says that no puppy is ever, doesn't end up in his or her forever home. But that's not the way it'd be. Not because as many people who care about the animals and handle them well, puppies are totally innocent, vulnerable little beings. And I don't know. They're little babies. Yeah, why not have a baby party? Let's have a bunch of cute little babies. We'll stick them in a truck. God. There's no end to it. But see, the Wall Street Journal is... Oh, by the way, I just did an update on Rachel... did we ever... Dolezal? Yeah.
Not talk to us about Vanity Fair.
No. There's an article in Vanity Fair about where is she now. I mean, she would still be right at the front of our attention. What is the thing that knocked her off? The front. We were just getting into her, and what is the big story that knocked her out of... Probably some mass murder, right? Oh, and by the way, I do have to, we have to talk about the, I'm forgetting her name. Sandra Bland. Bland, right. In Texas. We got it now that there's video out and other things. Now that we're hearing what really happened, good God Almighty. I don't know if she was killed or if she took her own life, but she never, ever, first of all, should have been pulled over. Second of all, she never should have been pulled out of the car. Her offense was smoking a cigarette, it turns out. Hey, have any of you ever been pulled over for not signaling when you change lanes? Have you ever heard of such a thing? Have you? Just harassment of an African-American driver. Anyway, Rachel, the one who said she was black but wasn't, is not still sticking to her guns. And she's doing hair. Black hair. Which apparently she was extraordinarily good at. So, there you have it. And she still says, I'm black. And she still says, I feel like I didn't mislead anybody. I didn't deceive anybody. If people feel misled or deceived, then sorry that they feel that way. But I believe that's more due to their definition and construct of race in their own minds than it is to my integrity or honesty. Okay, whatever. We have a call, and time is up. I'm sorry. You got to get. Celine's got an interview to do, and I'm sorry, caller. We can't take you. It's end of the hour. I'm sorry. So enjoy the glorious day, and I'll be in tomorrow. My last day this week. I'm taking a 4-day weekend. Have things I got to be doing. Okay. So tomorrow, though, please. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.